All right, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 5th of January, 2024. Flyers Daily, as always, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Frustrating finish to the game last night. Flyers fall in the shootout to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I was actually kind of surprised they were in the position they were in the third period. But it was kind of that recipe of the right opposition team at the right time, coming home from that road trip, that first game back with only the one day off, which turned out to be a travel day back from Edmonton on Wednesday, with a game the next day is always a tough spot for a team. But you did get a Columbus team who obviously is inferior, eighth place in the Metropolitan Division, and they were missing some key guys. They're missing Werenski, they're missing Boone Jenner. Elvis Merzlikins has been benched. They went with Tarasov in net. So it was, all the recipe was there to be able to overcome just getting back from the trip. And Flyers, I thought the first period was a relatively decent period. Flyers outshot Columbus significantly. That's going to become a recurring theme on this podcast, that outshooting a team. I think I've said it quite a few times in the past. Is not necessarily a recipe for success, but Flyers outshot Columbus significantly in the first period, carried the play. I thought they forechecked really well in the first period. They get the only goal of the period when Travis Konechny has a perfect redirect of a Joel Farabee pass to put the Flyers up 1-0. That came at 17-12 of the period. Just another deft assist from Joel Farabee. One of the random observations I had is that Joel Farabee is a much better passer in tight than I thought that he would be. And it was another great pass there. He had 2 assists in the Edmonton game, 2 nice assists in that one. And then he has that one to open the scoring. Travis Konechny's 19th of the season. That's how we'd end the first period. Matter of fact, go through the second period. Flyers pretty much control that one as well. Columbus a little bit of pushback, but there's no scoring. So you head into the third up 1-0. And at some point, you got to not be playing these tight one-goal games going into the third. But the Flyers go into the third period with that 1-0 lead. They build on it at 4:29. Again, another really good pass from Joel Farabee to Konechny. And he's able to just kind of power his way to the net. Doesn't even really get a shot off. I think he just loses control of the puck, and it ends up squeaking through Tarasov and goes through the 5-hole. Takes a punishment for getting the goal, but that's connecting second of the game, his 20th of the season. And the Flyers go up nothing. Farabee and Couturier assists on both goals, so that's 4 assists total for the Flyers. So 4 times 3, that's 120 pounds of food that the Flyers and Penn Medicine will be donating to local communities in need as part of the Penn Medicine Assist. So Flyers up 2-0. You got a 2-0 lead in the third period, but less than a minute later, 55 seconds later, the Columbus Blue Jackets get on the board. Damon Severson picks up the goal, 2-1, assisted by Fantilli and Christensen. And then at 10:20, they get it tied when Jake Bean gets a goal, high blocker on Sam Ersson. It was deflected on its way in, so tough one for Ersson to handle. Roslovic and Gabranson pick up the assist, and Columbus gets it tied. Columbus really put a ton of pressure on the Flyers after they got it tied at 2. Ersson had to come up real big just to get it to overtime. They get it to overtime. Each team's got some decent chances in overtime. Wasn't the most exciting 3-on-3 overtime I've ever seen, but Flyers would head to the shootout, and they would head to the shootout probably feeling pretty darn confident because Sam Ersson in shootout attempts has been very good this year. He's 3-0 in the shootout, only gave up 1 shootout goal so far this season. They go in. Flyers' first shooter is Sean Couturier. Tarasov stays down, makes a real nice glove save on Couturier. Then Gaudreau goes in on Sam Ersson and is able to beat him. Nice little deke move by Gaudreau to make it 1-0 in the shootout. Bobby Brink then snapshot saved by Tarasov, and Kent Johnson's got a chance to put the game away. He misses a backhand shot wide, and then Tyson Forster had a shot saved by Tarasov, so they get the 1-0 shootout win. 3-2 is the final for Columbus. They grab the 2 points. The Flyers grab 1, and they move on to Saturday against the Calgary Flames. I thought there were points in the game where the Flyers did play well and did buck the trend of just getting home off a West Coast trip. First 2 periods in particular, they just didn't have enough to show for it. Just the 1 goal through 2 periods, and then the other goal they get in the third period, and it's the same combination of players. It's connecting on both goals, Farabee and Couturier with the assist, and the same against the Edmonton Oilers when they scored the 2 goals. that same combination of forwards was on the ice. And, you've got to get more scoring from lines outside of your top line. Yeah, your top line is supposed to be your most potent and do the most scoring, but the other line's got to chip in. Scoring 2 goals in a game is rarely going to do it in the NHL. It's a race to 3 league, and the Flyers unable to get there once again in this game, get to 3 goals. And the goal scoring right now has dried up once again for everybody not on that top line. So over the last 7 games, the Flyers had the 4-2 loss against Nashville, just the 2 goals. All right, they lose to Detroit 7-6. That's a high scoring game. You score 6, you should win that every day. That's a shootout loss. Then against Vancouver, you score 4, you win 4-1. But then against Seattle, you only score 1 goal. Against Calgary, you score 3, but you lose 4-3 in that game. That really was just a couple of goals the goalie pulled at the end of the game as they kept battling. Edmonton, you only have the 2 goals, which were provided by the top line. And then last night against Columbus, 3-2 shootout loss, both goals provided by Konechny and the top line. The other lines need to produce. Now, Konechny's been great. He's got 20 goals on the season. He's obviously pacing over 40. They're not quite at the halfway mark on the season. And he's headed to the All-Star game for the second time. And he has absolutely earned it. And talking about this last night on the game broadcast, he's an interesting guy because I was here through and doing the job I do with the Flyers all through the trajectory of Claude Giroux's career. And I think we knew early on that Giroux was pretty special because of his hockey IQ and those things. Maybe we didn't know the extent of it, but we knew that he was a really good player. And Konechny came in as a first round pick, a lot of skill set, speed, but he was kind of all over the place in his play, in his emotions, his mouth, everything when he first came in. And we've watched this now over 6, 7 seasons, the ma the maturity of Konechny, not only as a player, but a human, or as not only as a human, as a player. And we've seen him go from this unbridled, just all over the place kind of player and lack of structure and emotional and not knowing when to control that and all of that stuff, some immaturity in his game to this very mature player that is equally as mature off the ice, married, has a kid, and it's been a really fun arc to watch him. And like with a lot of players, when they first come in and they first start talking to the media or they do interviews, they're petrified. They're uncomfortable. Konechny came in right away, comfortable, cool as a cucumber, just a regular conversation, like you've known him for years. And he was that way when he came in. He's still that way today. The only difference is the things he says now. Not that what he said back then was immature, but so team oriented and about the group and about the players that he lines up with on his team and goes to battle with. So you've seen just this maturity of his game. So congratulations to TK on every element of it earned going back to the All-Star game. The crazy thing is you look at he had 3 24-goal seasons in a row, and the last one of those 3 prior to the league shutting down because of the pandemic, he had 24 in, I think, 59 games that year, or 69 games. So he was on a pace for 30, but didn't get it. And then we went to the bubble, and TK struggled in the bubble, didn't score, came back next year, really struggled, really got his game back underway last year, scoring 31 goals under John Tortorella. And then you're just wondering, is he going to be a player that keeps taking it even another step here now that he's in the prime of his career? And he definitely has. PK's been a big part of that for Travis Konechny as well. Not only the offense that he provides out of it, but his ability to kill penalties. I think he's the kind of the emotional leader of the team as well. So I'm thrilled that he's going back and he's going to be able to enjoy an All-Star game once again. And then, but he can't be the only one. That line can't be the only line that provides offense. John Tortorella made a decision to scratch 2 guys for this game. He scratched Morgan Frost for the 11th time this season, and he scratched Cam Atkinson, who's gone 22 games without a goal. And he was asked after the game if it was a difficult decision to scratch Cam Atkinson. He said, no, it wasn't a difficult decision. It's almost not a decision that he made. You have to base it on accountability, and you have to base it that Look, sometimes guys earn more minutes in games, times guys earn less minutes. Sometimes guys earn a night off. Earn a night off in the sense that they need to sit. And Cam got off to a really good start this season, but he has hit a wall, and there's no doubt about it. He's taken a couple of penalties lately that were a little uncharacteristic. So maybe, him sitting for that game or however he ends up sitting, will benefit him. But, Cam Atkinson, there was no bigger advocate for John Tortorella to come in and coach the Flyers than Cam Atkinson. And Cam Atkinson talked about when he was advocating for Torts to come here. The reason why was because of accountability. So, while Cam Atkinson, I'm sure, doesn't like being scratched, I'm sure he understands it. He is on the team and he needs to provide scoring, and he hasn't done that. So I don't think that, being scratched is gonna send Cam Atkinson into either the doghouse or the pouting house. I think he's gonna use it and use the time that he was in the press box last night's game and whatever else goes forward, and use it to try and make himself better and help this team win. Because they need a guy like Cam Atkinson to score. When Morgan Frost is in there, I didn't think Morgan Frost had a great road trip. They need him to end up on the score sheet. I thought Owen Tippett played really well last night with 13 shot attempts, 7 shots on goal, tying a career high. But he is a guy that needs to end up on the score sheet. You don't get anything on the scoreboard for an amount of shots on goal. It in a way, sorry, it doesn't matter. Flyers outshot Columbus in the game 41-28. You lost the game. Shots are not the be all end all. Now the Flyers did have more quality opportunities, but it is about quality, not quantity, when it comes to shots in the league. And the Flyers need to get more offense. Tyson Forster needs to provide some offense. Bobby Brink needs to provide some offense. The 3 forwards that I think are playing really well. I thought Tippett played well last night, but I thought Couturier was excellent in the game last night. I thought Farabee was excellent in the game last night, and I thought TK was excellent in the game as well. But there's not a lot of other forwards that I could say I thought played excellent. They need to get some goals from different sources. Scott Lawton's got to provide some offense. You got to get more scoring from other places. You got to get more scoring from the blue line overall. Walker needs to provide some more offense. So does Cam York. So they're not going to outscore teams with one line going. It's just not going to happen. And again, I saw on social media, I know a lot of people are freaking out. Oh, I told you this is who this team was. Look, I've said this before. You cannot treat an 82 game season in hockey or basketball like it's the NFL in a 16 or 17 game season. Every team is going to go through periods of time where they find ways to lose. Flyers should have won that game last night 9 times out of 10. 2-0 lead in the third period. I know it was 1-0 going in, but it was 2-0. And they found a way to lose the game. Just like sometimes when things are going well, you find a way to win a game that you shouldn't win. Sometimes when things aren't going well, you find a way to lose a game you shouldn't lose. And I think that's what that was last night. Now, you got to beat teams like Columbus when you're in this really tight division. You got to beat a team like Columbus when they're without Werenski and without Boone Jenner, and they're banged up. You still got to find a way to win the game, and they didn't, and that's frustrating. But there's going to be ups and downs in a season. So they get to 1 point in the standings last night. Carolina sitting in the second spot with 46 points. Flyers 2 points back, played the same amount of games. They're tied in points with the Islanders. Islanders have played 1 less game, 2 points up on the Devils, but the Devils have played 2 less games. The Capitals, they're 2 points up on the Caps. Caps have played 2 less games as well. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're 2 points ahead of now, and they've played 1 less game than the Flyers. So things are insanely tight. They're still from the second spot in the division, 46 points, to the 7th spot, 42 points. There's still only 4 points between 2nd and 7th in the division. And it's a busy month. Flyers will be back at it coming up on Saturday. They'll look to exact a little revenge. Maybe that's exactly what they need. A little recent revenge against Calgary on Saturday for Ed Snyder Legacy Night. Then coming up Monday, The team that I just mentioned, 2 points behind the Flyers, the Pittsburgh Penguins. You beat the Penguins twice in the month of December to start off the month, home and home. One was a shootout win, one was an overtime win. Now you gotta beat them a 3rd time in a row. Things are tight. After Pittsburgh, you get Montreal. Montreal, not very good. 16, 17, and 5 on the year. Then you gotta go on the road. You gotta take on Minnesota. Minnesota's a team that eh, not a great team. Again, kinda similar record to Montreal, just under hockey 500. But they'll come in their building, they'll give you a game. Then you gotta go to Winnipeg, who has the 3rd highest points percentage in the NHL. Great goaltender in Connor Hellebuck. And then you gotta go to St. Louis. St. Louis, just over 500. Then you're gonna come back home for another 4-game homestand. You're gonna see a really good Dallas team. You're gonna see a really good Colorado team. It's in the top spot in the Central Division of the Western Conference. You're gonna get Ottawa, who, I don't know, they're playing better, but they stink. They have some good players. And then you're gonna get a desperate Tampa team that's trying to get themselves into the mix and stay in the mix. That's got a lot of high-end talent, but right now, has not gotten off to the start they would hope for. And you're gonna end the month on the road at Detroit and then back home versus the team with the top points percentage in the NHL, the Boston Bruins. So it's a gauntlet, mostly pretty good teams, a couple pretty bad ones, but you gotta take care of business, and the Flyers gotta take care of business, and they've got to get more scoring from other lines outside of their top line. Alright, so I did the episode on, 6 random observations in this season, and I had put out a tweet to, solicit some random observations as well. So, I got some of these here. I think these are pretty good. So I said, "For tomorrow's Flyers Daily, shoot me some totally random observations about the Flyers team." I have a bunch from the players' tape jobs, from the Carter Hart's tape job, type of shots taken, and Atkinson taking a lot of slap shots below the top of the circle. I said, "Drop any random off the wall and not so off the wall observations." So, let's get through a couple of them. Flyers fan 39 said, "Every time they show TK, he's mad. Same with Torts, unless it's right after a goal or during a scrap." I don't know if I sense that TK seems like he's always angry. Torts, it really depends. He's an intense coach. He runs an intense bench, so he's not gonna be a guy that's gonna be showing you a lot of, chuckles and smiles and giddiness on the bench. Flyers fan 39 also said, "Frost's body language is visibly upset after every failed play." I haven't noticed that as much either. I don't think he's a guy that sags a whole heck of a lot. But that's now something when he gets back in, I will keep an eye out for sure. Flyers fan 39 said, "Coots is always patient with the puck, sometimes to our detriment." I I haven't seen a lot of it to the detriment this year. I think he's been really smart with the puck and pushing the pace. And he said, Flyers fan 39, "Zamula skates the blue line very well with the puck." Yeah, I do agree with that. He's a good lateral along the blue line player looking for a lane to get the puck through the net. That is a strength of his game. Quinn the Eskimo said, "I've noticed the Flyers are typically out shooting other teams. Most times this results in success. This was not the case the last few years. Didn't fact check, so don't kill me." Now, they weren't a team that outshot teams the last 2 years. This year, they have been a team that has been really good at shot suppression and pretty decent at shot volume, but it doesn't mean anything. The volume of shots doesn't mean anything. It's 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 just a number. It's all about the quality. Now, if you average 35 shots a game, but you average 8 high danger scoring chances or 12 high danger scoring chances, you wanna say, well, the reason why they get 12 high danger scoring chances is because they took 40 shots. Okay, maybe, but it's not about quantity of shots. It's always about quality. If you take all your shots from the outside and they're clear sighted, you're just playing pitch and catch with the goaltender. Quinn tweets in, mquinn18, he says, Rasmus Ristolainen, "Risto is the loudest when calling for the puck from Hart or Ersson." So, like, if the goalie stops a rim, deal peel to the corner. He's saying that Risto is the loudest and letting him know where he is. He said, "I heard him through the broadcast a few times this season." I haven't noticed that because obviously I'm at a lot of the games, but it's something I definitely want to listen for. I love it when guys call for the play, call for the puck loudly. Like, there's some guys that absolutely you can hear. They make a lot of noise when they're open. So that's a good one. I like that one a lot. Um, we had Flyers fan 39 check in. Now we have Flyers fan 88 checking in. And Flyers fan 88 says, since we're doing better than anyone expected, I believed in the team. So a quick question to ask them is, do they wash the dog mask or do they just keep it raw with all that sweat from all the last win? Now, the dog mask is obviously what they do this year for the player to player of the game. Whoever won player of the game on Saturday, they give it to the guy who they think should be player of the game for the next game. And on they take the picture with the dog mask on. We know what those masks are like rubber and gross. And I imagine that they disinfect that mask every time because sickness, especially this time of year, and there's been a lot of sickness that's already gone through the Flyers locker room and everywhere, frankly, my house included. I imagine they're disinfecting that mask, steaming it, whatever you got to do between games, drying it out properly. I don't think they're just leaving that thing funky all season long. That would be some serious funk. That'd be gross. Johan Stenberg said, it will be fun to hear what curve and flex some of the players use. Now, Johan, I saw this tweet before the game last night. And when I was getting ready to start the pregame show, I walked out by the bench and saw the stick rack there. And I thought of your tweet. And I started looking at some of the sticks. And most of the flexes are pretty high. They're in the 90s, 95. I think there was one that was about, I think Scott Lawton had an 87. I think that Garnet Hathaway had an 87 flex. Like, we can't get 87 flex, me and you. We get 85, 90, 65. You get a round number. NHL players and get them dialed in specifically. It's like the paddle on a goalie stick. Like if you want a 31-inch paddle, well, a goalie in the NHL can get 31 and a quarter because they can get them specially made. But there was one player, there were a lot of players like Zamula was 95 on his flex. Ristolainen was 95. I saw one stick, though, that was at 102 for the flex, and that was Sean Couturier. Had a 102 flex on a stick. Now, he's a big guy, not that big. Like, I imagine Zdeno Chara, when he played, had like a 130 flex on a stick. It said 102 on Couturier's stick. I'll dig in on those further and look at the curves and see who's using a P28 or a P29 and so on and so forth. If you don't know what that is, I'll have to put some pictures up. Let's get to one more here. Random observation. We'll get to some of these on another episode as well. In the Net Hockey says Forster has a great shot, yet I feel like I barely ever see him actually shoot the puck. In the Net Hockey, that is a great observation that I totally agree with. I want to see that shot way more than we've seen it. I want to see a guy going to places to be able to get the puck to see it. I want to see a guy that's more willing to shoot it. I want to see a guy that I want to see him shoot the puck so many times that I'm going, will you stop shooting? I have not seen it nearly enough. And that's to me one of his greatest weapons. All right, let's get to one more. I want to get to this last one, and we'll get to some more in tomorrow's episode. John Ezra tweets in, and he says, do NHL players, specifically Flyers players, still drink beer after games? If so, which brand? Well, they don't drink in the locker room. It's not like a beer league where you just start cracking up cold ones as soon as you get off the ice and you're trying, hey, you want beer? Who wants some Molson? Who wants Miller Lite? Whatever. It's not like that. Do they still drink a beer after the games if they're on the road or they get on the plane? I'm sure. Or if you're on the road and you're staying there that night, you go out and you get something to eat and maybe you have a couple beers. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I don't know what they drink. That's an individual choice, but I'm sure players go out and have a couple cocktails. These are young men. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you can keep the guardrails on it and not have it become an issue. All right, we'll get to a bunch more of these coming up in tomorrow's episode. We'll also preview Flyers Calgary and what is Ed Snyder Legacy Night at Wells Fargo Center for Saturday. So we'll do that for tomorrow's episode. So everybody join us then. Uh, Remember, these stretches happen in a long hockey season. I don't like that they didn't get the 2 points against Columbus as well. Don't go freaking out. Enjoy your Friday. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a brand new Flyers Daily.